Hey everybody, welcome back. I got a ton of responses, a ton of questions in the first episode. Welcome back to another episode of Sundays at 3 with GTD. I had an overwhelming response. A lot of questions, a lot of comments on the very first episode last week. So I've got a lot of questions to get to. I'm going to jump right in with question number one. Let's get started. All right, so the very first comment that I got was from a guy who's obviously tried the setup for impact, the Kirk Younga swing, the single plane swing. The comment reads like this. So wrong about the setup for impact single plane swing. No equipment changes needed. Setup for impact is set up for impact. There is no change to impact positions. If you were fit correctly, it does not change from conventional or set up for impact. So I kind of figured that I would get at least one response that was sort of like this, that I was misunderstanding Kirk Younga's teachings or the single plane swing itself. I made mention that there are probably quite a few people that haven't changed their equipment and they've had success with it. So I wasn't saying that everybody has to change their equipment, just that some people may. And I do understand that the only thing that you're really changing is that you're taking your impact position and you're making it your setup. However, when you extend your arm straight out in the single plane, that to me feels like there may be some adjustments that might be needed. But again, I just want to say, I've never gone through that process, so I can't say for everybody, but I imagine that there are some people that might need some changes, but I do understand this comment completely. So on to my second comment. This one comes from Teresa Butler. I agree on the George Ganka swing. You better be 17 years old and flexible. Eureka works for me after the breakthrough. Get body mass on the downswing in front of the ball with a forward bump of the hips. You will hit ball first as your weight gets left, then body turns late. So I mentioned the George Ganka swing and that most of his students were younger people, more athletic people, and that they tended to be range rats. They put a lot of time and a lot of work into their game on the range, on the course, and a lot of us just don't have that kind of time being weekend players. That's not to say that George Ganka's stuff doesn't have merit, but he does tend to have younger students. They mentioned the Eureka swing. I'd made the comment that, it's basically a setup change and not so much a swing change. But Steve Johnston definitely does teach components to help your golf swing. But a lot of the things that he teaches don't necessarily have to be involved with the Eureka swing. They can be to help, any setup or any golf swing. Next comment was great video. This is from Rob N. Appreciate your feedback and passion. Please hit a few balls in your garage with Overhand Golf Holy Grail single intention. It is a task as simple as can be. Very in line with your desire, I do believe. No funky setup or positions. One goal of hitting that imaginary ball on the swing plane. You will be amazed at the positions of body and club as a secondary effect of doing the above. Take care and thanks again. Thanks for the comment, Rob. I have definitely watched a lot of Overhand Golf. I am subscribed to his channel. I believe that a lot of the tips he gives are just really great and they are brain benders in the sense that you probably didn't think of it the way that he's presenting it until he presented it to you. So I haven't tried the Overhand Golf method yet as far as formally trying it. And I do hope to mess around with that in the future and see what I can make of that swing. Next up is from The Weekend Hack. Hey Ben, how are you? Personal thoughts on new drivers compared to drivers from the last 5 years. Is the $400 to $600 price tag worth it for the newest driver? What do you think the best driver is in the past decade? Finally, best YouTuber as far as instruction-based content in your opinion. Awesome stuff, man. This is going to be a good series. That's an excellent question. And I've actually got a video that will be coming up soon. I am getting a new driver. Well, it's not a new driver, but it's new to me driver. I've done a lot of research and looked into this. I've watched a ton of videos. I think that Rick Shields does some of the best reviews. He is really fair, he's unbiased, he's balanced about it, and he does really in-depth stuff with all of the latest equipment, and his opinions, to me, warrant a ton of respect. You're talking about a legendary golf YouTuber, first of all, but second, I think he just does the best reviews out there. So I watched some Rick, I've watched some Sass Golf, I've watched a lot of things and a lot of testing, and so based on that, I've chosen my new driver. be on the lookout for that video coming up. Best YouTuber as far as instruction-based content, in my opinion, without a doubt, if I had to make like a top 3, I think that Shawn Clement is probably one of the best, if not the best out there. He's got tons of videos. He relates things. He's got a great way of teaching, and his personality and everything is always so sunny. I think that is excellent. Another great one is Mike Malaska. Mike Malaska's stuff is, I love the way he teaches. I love his concepts. I love his ideas. His videos are very well made. He's excellent. A different type of instruction, as far as not necessarily being the golf swing, but in golf strategy and how to attack it, is a guy named Matt. I've talked to him several times. He's been at YouTube for a while now. Golf Sidekick. If you really want to drop scores, if you really want to drop strokes, if you really want to improve your golf game without having to be a tour pro, his advice on how to attack golf courses and how to choose different clubs as far as when you're on course, club selection, all of that, it's fantastic. And I think he has helped a ton of people, and he continues to do so today. All right, this next one is from Teresa Butler again. Teresa really just bombing it. Thank you. Most interesting, this is I pinned this one. I thought this was great. Most interesting results from YouTube lessons I see is the Michael Broderick swing. I have seen tons of Michael Broderick. I love his stuff. Some of the schematics and breakdowns and some of the stuff that looks like it takes an engineering degree to understand, just kind of, I don't know, maybe it goes over my head. His personal results are amazing. However, his on-course videos show a different swing from the one he breaks down in lessons. I need more proof and maybe some on-course examples of one of his followers. Intriguing because he is older and can hit his 9-iron 170 plus. I have noticed the exact same thing. The way he teaches is, if you've ever seen where he's in the dome, because it gets really cold up where he is, he's indoors at a driving range, and he'll get his student out there, and he's always got a cup of coffee in his hand. I love that, like a to-go cup. But he's teaching them, and he says that when you go back there, you fold the right arm, and then he always says, rock the baby. To rock the baby and keep that fold in the right arm and drive the shoulder into it and release way out here. Make sure you hear the whoosh and the speed out here in front of you. And I think, once he gets people working with that, it's pretty amazing what he's able to do. And he gets the dynamic loft way down, which is really cool. And that's how he gets his distance. But when you watch him swing, he's very vertical. He's very upright, it seems like. It just looks like a different swing. But again, I have an untrained eye, so maybe it's not. But the guy is really murdering his clubs, I can tell you that. Get on to another buddy of mine, Jeremy Marmon in South Africa. He's got a YouTube channel, Jeremy Marmon, Maarman. Go check Jeremy's channel out. He's a big Count Yogi proponent and a big fan. Great things coming from Jeremy. He's also done some things with Overhand Golf, but just really, really positive guy, really, really awesome guy. He says, great stuff and looking forward to every Sunday at 3 with GTD. Had a great tune to it. Before I forget, I think it will be cool if you look into Terry Bradley. He has a system called 2-6 Golf. He's not a PGA certified pro, but like you, he feels that he found what works for the recreational player. Hope you can look into that. So I had actually never heard of Terry Bradley or 2-6 Golf, which is crazy because when I went and checked him out, he's got thousands of subscribers. He's been at it for quite some time, and it looks like he's a scratch or below scratch player. You can tell he's really skilled. And I've just now started getting into that, so I can't speak to exactly what the 2-6 system is yet. But hopefully, through some more research, I'll find that out. Thanks, Jeremy, for the heads up on that. I'll definitely be looking into it, and I'll get some more information that can totally cloud my brain moving forward. Okay, the next one comes from, and I hope I get this name correctly, Peter Sigard, or Sigard, Siggaard. He says, nice, but you are wrong about Eureka. It is not only the setup change. He wants you to be ahead of the ball. Please see more of his videos on Eureka. Then you'll understand that it is also a different way of swinging the club. And as I said, I've watched a lot of Steve's videos, and I do know about the weight forward thing. But that, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think that weight forward thing, especially with the irons, is something that's unique to Eureka itself. I think that's Probably something that he includes in quite a few swings. It's also in Stack and Tilt, where he does a version of Stack and Tilt with Eureka. He's done that. But my whole point is that I felt like it was very much about the aim points and not so much about changing your swing. I feel like you could use just about any version of your swing with Eureka and still call it Eureka, as long as you line up in the way that he sets forth in the Eureka swing. Here was a direct question, really short and sweet, from Robert Van Dusen. Robert asks, what are some of your favorite training aids? That's really an excellent question, and it's one that I can't really answer in this. You'll have to stay tuned for future videos, because honestly, I have not used a whole lot of training aids. That said, I do have some hopes of doing some training aid videos in the future that I think could be beneficial. So stay tuned. Now, this one I felt like was just an excellent question, and I'm really glad that this was brought up to me, because I would love to respond to this. It speaks a lot to the channel and where the channel's going and what I have goals for in the future. This one came to me from Al Kershaw. Will you try single or dual length clubs? Have decided not to try Stack and Tilt. Right now I'm torn between committing to Stack and Tilt or JVGA. Now, the reason that I read this question was because of that first question, will you try single or dual length clubs? So here's the thing, and I believe that Kim Stock, K-Y-M, Kim Stock, he comments on my videos often, very nice guy. He mentioned some single length clubs and trying different equipment as well. The issue with that is this: I'm still a small channel. I am not on a lot of companies' radars. I'm not on the level of a Rick Shields or a Peter Finch or an Alex Elliott or, any of these guys who have tons of subscribers and get all this new equipment sent to them. Anytime they come out with new clubs, James Robinson, Peter Finch, Sass Golf, Rick Shields, all the big boys, they're all, Mark Crossfield, they're all getting these clubs sent to them. Just these companies are like, hey, show our club, test it out. I'm not anywhere near that level right now, and I do not have the extra money to just go out and buy all types of clubs to test out and be able to give my feedback on it just for a video or two, and then, I just don't have that. But hopefully, as the channel continues to grow, and with your support and all of your comments and questions and views and sharing these videos and stuff around, the channel will continue to grow, and maybe sometime in the near future, I will be big enough to be on somebody's radar, and they'll start sending me equipment so I can test it out for you guys and let you know my thoughts on it. Now, let me just tell you, this next comment, it's not so much a question as it is a comment, but I immediately pinned this comment. I was like, man, that is the kind of information that people need to know. This is just a very good insight that I have had myself, and I've had conversations with people about this very thing, and here's another person confirming some of my thoughts. This is from TM. Still loving the videos. I've said before about how I tried Zen Golf after watching the videos on YouTube. For about 7 weeks, I was totally zened. I was hitting irons crisp and accurate. I was absolutely clonking my driver with accuracy. I love that, the clonking thing. I was living in the Zen zone for those 7 weeks and loving it. My problem was Zen was so simple. For me, it was just remain balanced, transfer weight, and swing. But even when I knew this was as good as it gets, I always knew sooner or later my brain would reject this simplicity. It started adding unnecessary complications, so I ask you, do you think that many people see the golf swing as a complicated motion and their own brain rejects any thought that simplicity could work? Keep the videos coming. Loving it, Tommy. Man, Tommy, I've had the exact same thought, and I was just on the phone the other day talking to a friend of mine, and I said, there's a lot of different personalities that people have. Some people are very creative. They have to have a change of scenery as far as their job. They can't be stuck in an office. They can't be stuck in a factory. But then other people, they're very much, they want the same thing every day. They want to go work in a factory. They want to work on an assembly line. They want to do the same job every day, and that makes them happy knowing that they're coming into the exact same thing all the time, and it becomes very repetitive, and they become very good at what they do because they repeat over and over and over, and they never have to have it any more complex than that. And if your brain works that way, then having a very simple golf swing where you do the same thing over and over and over and over, and it never gets complicated, that can work for you. But for somebody who is more creative or always thinking that there's more to it, or there's another wrinkle, or there's just this up around the bend, it's very hard for them to do the same thing over and over, and therefore their brain, I believe, does tend to overcomplicate a very simple act. All right, this next one comes from Eddie66. Eddie comments on the videos quite often, and he didn't really have a question. It was more of a comment, some of his thoughts on things, and I just thought they were interesting, so I would share. Eureka is just aim left, hit right. Basically a copy of the open stance swing method that has been around for years. Club fitting is necessary if you are in the extremes of size, i.e. under 5'6" or over 6 foot. Then a flatter or more upright lie angle and longer, shorter shafts would be beneficial. Here's a wacky swing method from the 90s you may want to try. It's Dalton Mccreary's straight shooting golf. Basically stand close to the ball and swing as upright as you can. Oh, and bend your irons 4 degrees up. I told him that I had heard of straight shooting golf, but I had no idea what it was. And then he recommented, he said, watch his videos on here. He's quite a character and has a real southern drawl, even though more so than yourself. I bought his VHS series back in the 90s. He was all over the Golf Channel with infomercials. It would suit somebody tall with long levers, but that's not me. I told him that I didn't think anybody had a worse southern drawl than I did, but apparently Dalton Mccreary's got me beat out in that category. All right, now look, when I got this next comment, I was through the roof. This was just fantastic. This one comes from Shawn Clement's Wisdom in Golf. Dear Golf Test Dummy, got wind of your review, and of course I was delighted. I will take you on with your request for a question, and here it is. Would you like to do an online swing analysis with me, which is one of the services that I offer that has been very beneficial to so many of my students and has allowed them to focus on the tasks that suit them better and ignore the things that do not apply to them. It gave me his email address and says I offer an open invitation to cooperate together in helping all of our viewers to benefit from this exchange. All the best and Happy New Year to you. Sincerely, Shawn. I love that. And I responded back to him, and Shawn and I have emailed back and forth. I have, as of this video, I have sent him video of my swing, and I wasn't having the best swing day, really, but it was in the garage. I asked him, should I go to the driving range? And he said, no, it's fine in the garage. And he's going to do an analysis. I've got a phone call with him this evening to talk over it. And so the video for that is going to be coming. The analysis will be coming. So if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button, hit the bell off to the right so you get notified of everything. You're not going to want to miss it. But I was absolutely over the moon to hear from Shawn. I've followed him for a long time, and he's one of my favorites. Next question, short and sweet, from Robert Hools. He comments on my channel often as well. I recognize that name. Hi, Chad. Do you ever get different swing methods confused? And how do you remember which is which? That is an excellent question. And yes, I get them confused sometimes. And when you're standing over the golf ball, things should be kind of automatic, but sometimes I catch myself freezing over it going, okay, what am I doing now? And it's one of the things that I have cautioned against. It's one of the reasons that I do these videos so that you don't have to, because I'm telling you, if you do what I do, you won't have an identity. All right, I got several comments and questions from Luis Juarez. And the first one that he asked was, have you tried the Mike Austin swing approach? He also went on to give me some links to some other people that I had already watched. I know that there's Mike Austin Fan out there, Mike Austin Rules, all of these guys, they do great videos. And I've definitely heard of and watched a lot of Mike Austin's stuff. He is a legend, but I have not done a formal review of the Mike Austin swing. I may at some point, but I haven't as of yet. Now this next thing, Mick Barrett. I've spoken to Mick in email several times. Mick's a really nice guy. He didn't really have a question, but he said, a very happy new year to you and yours, pal. Good to see you enjoying your golf. He started using the Mo Norman swing, and it didn't change his golf club specs. He managed to come down from an 18 handicap to 7.4 handicap in 8 months using the single plane swing. Granted, it won't always work for everyone, but due to my injuries, it works really well for me. Hope you're well and safe. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Mick. Great to hear from you. Glad to hear that you're doing really well, and Happy New Year to you also. also. This next one is from Strong Island. Now, he's got a New York Giants symbol as his icon. I'll forgive him for that. Not everybody has great taste, but whatever. I hear from Strong Island several times over the course of videos. He's always commenting, and what he had for me was just a fantastic question, and I'm so glad that he asked me this because I really want to answer it. I know some of you out there are probably wondering the exact same thing as he is. He says, "Hey GTD, I got a question for you. How come you don't play with other golfers? I always see you solo on the course. Playing with people can help you learn, which could help us learn when you give us your thoughts on playing with that person. Maybe you could reach out to Matt Fisher, Mr. Short Game, for instance. He's close to you now." Joking. I want to see you grow, man. Love your stuff and keep it up. Mr. Short Game is in Georgia. I'm in North Carolina. He's probably a good 5-6 hours away. But yeah, relatively close as far as, me to Scotland. But Matt Fisher's, he's a huge channel, man. Mr. Short Game, that's a huge channel. He's got well over 100,000 subs. He's not paying any attention to what little GTD's doing over here in North Carolina. Even though I've done a couple of little mentions of him in some of my videos, he still hasn't reached out to me. Now, as far as why I'm always playing solo, there's several pieces to this. Number one, about a year and a half ago, my wife and I moved out about 3 hours away from the only home I've ever known, Kannapolis in Salisbury, North Carolina, out in that area, Rowan County, North Carolina. It's kind of close to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the biggest city in the state. But out here, I know absolutely nobody. All of my friends, all of my family, they are back home. I had a group of guys that I used to play with all the time, guys that I came up with and love playing with those guys. You may have seen them in, if you ever watched GTD Goes Home or Go Play Rolling Hills. Many of you haven't seen that video, you should go watch it. You can see some of the pictures of those guys that I played with. I don't have those guys out here anymore. And whereas I have played with people out here, for the most part, they've been strangers that I just get matched up with. And when you're talking about strangers, it's really hard to film. I've mentioned this in other videos as well. A lot of people do not want to be recorded. A lot of people, if you pull out the camera, it's going to ruin their day. They may not even say anything. "Oh yeah, it's totally fine, come record." But then if they have a bad day, I feel like maybe some way I've affected their game. As far as people out here, I have made some friends, and I have played golf with a couple of them, of my neighbors, and they're awesome. But again, I don't record when I'm with them out of just respect for them. That's pretty much the reason. If I was back home and I could get the fellas together, they would have zero issue with me recording. And honestly, if I messed up their game, good. All right, I thought this was a pretty good little comment. It was from Grog Fisher. "I think it would be interesting to try different putting methodologies, Pels, Stockton, etc. I think we would all be better golfers if striking a putt correctly delivered the same euphoria as a nicely struck iron shot." Man, truer words were never spoken. It is hard to get that rush from a well-struck putt, unless it's like a 100-footer that you can tell is just tracking and snaking toward the hole, and it almost goes in or it does go in. As far as trying out different methodologies, I think that's great. I've actually got a couple of putting videos out, but nothing really in depth. So I hope to do that in the future. I will be doing some videos like that, so stay tuned. Next one's not a question, but it's a comment from Larry Williams. "I see Bayou Golf is on here, so channel lock swing would be different. It's one to try." Bayou Golf, Steve, great guy, down in Louisiana. He comments on here all the time. I've followed his stuff and watched him. He does teach the channel lock method, so you've got JH John Hinsby in Australia that invented the channel lock method, and Steve, Bayou Golf, is one of the people teaching that. And I haven't tried channel lock formally yet. I know a lot of people have asked me to do that, and maybe at one point I will try that, but for right now I haven't. Really grateful to have Bayou Golf and Steve's comments on here. Thanks for that comment, Larry, and mentioning him and giving him a shout out. Go Panthers. Now here's a long one from Robin C. "I think you hit the nail on the head when you said if you could spend some time with the coach teaching the method, you would get great benefit from it. I've said in comments before that all methods are great and suit certain people. The one thing I hate is a coach that says another method is crap. I absolutely hate this. I will say Stefan Bachot's was one that I feel I didn't need to see. I did see him, but his basic learning method online was good enough. and actually having a lesson confused me more. I've gotten benefit from all lessons I've had, but more benefit from following a method, i.e. stack and tilt, right-sided, or flow motion, because you get parameters to work with it. The worst lessons I've had have been the old-fashioned lessons when they pick one part of your swing to pull apart, which for me has been my overseeing. I've always found with age I've had to find a method that suits me more, a method my body can work with. Looking forward to see what you try next. I mentioned that in that last Sunday video where I talked about when I was ranking some of the swings that I've tried, whether or not you can glean everything from YouTube. Obviously, a lot of these guys, you can go take online instruction from them, and you can get hands-on or one-on-one, in-person or remote learning experiences with them to give you something that's personalized. And I can't quantify any of that, because if you get personalized instruction, they're working on you as an individual. Whereas if you are looking at YouTube videos, they're more generalized, and you may try and find some of your swing faults and look for specific videos on fixing that. But my reviews are based on what the common person can find just by looking on YouTube, rather than going and taking lessons from somebody. So I was glad to get that comment. This next one is, I hope I'm getting this name right, from Vic Reichel, Reichle. I hear from Vic a lot of times on these videos. He said, interesting, looking forward to your next swing change. Seems to me all you have tried is the arms drive the body swings. Maybe try a rotational body, move the arms type swing. Something like George Gankas, turn, rotate, on plane, leave the arms behind. There are a few very good and have older students, Larry Chung and Milo Lines with Golfletics. I've definitely watched some Milo Lines, and I've seen Larry Chung's stuff as well. I told him, thanks, Vic. The Zen Flow Motion review was all lower body. Arms just follow. Saw some successes with that also. I can see and feel the differences with lower body and upper body swings. And he responded and said, I suppose that is the difference between see-feel and real if impact position never changes. And I think his point is that, yeah, you can try them out and feel different things, but until you see real changes from trying either the lower body or the upper body, until it becomes tangible and it actually manifests itself in the act of swinging the golf club and hitting the golf ball, that you're really not seeing the differences and the benefits. And I can understand that. I believe he's probably got a point there. Here's one from Jerry in South Carolina. Jerry and SC, hey Chad, golf clubs for a single plane swing aren't really any different from clubs that are needed for any other swing. They just need to fit you the same way they need to fit you for any other swing. There may be one or two slightly modified things that will help, but that's personal preference. The reason single plane and clubs got that reputation of having to be so different was because of the old Natural Golf Company. I remember that. Mo Norman started that. He had the black bag with the gold lettering on it. They were trying to convince people that they needed longer, more upright clubs, and they were selling them. It was a marketing thing. In reality, your clubs don't have to be anything different other than having them fit for you. Ask Todd Graves about this. The clubs they sell are Callaway. They are made to fit you. A follow-up to that from Jerry, where he actually had a question, was, curious, Chad, how do you swing the club when you are just out to play golf? We see you trying all kinds of methods for your YouTube channel, and I understand what you're doing this for, but how do you really swing the club when you just want to play golf? I'm not trying to go anywhere with this question. It's just something I'm curious about. Happy New Year. Jerry, that's a great question. The way I play golf is with the way I'm swinging during that review. I've said this before, and actually when I was talking about building my golf swing here recently, I was trying to get away from all this stuff and just get back to where Chad swings the club the way Chad swings the club. Because when I go out, it's like if I'm reviewing, Zen Golf, I'm swinging the Zen Golf way. If I'm reviewing Jim Venetos, I'm swinging the Jim Venetos way. If I'm trying to do stack and tilt, I'm trying to do stack and tilt. That's the way I swing on course. It's the way I practice. I'm in it. I live that swing for that period of time. So at any given time, you might see me swing in a different way on the course than you saw me swinging last month, because I'm on to something different. Here's one from David Hust, H-U-S-T. What I would really like is golf instruction focused more on scoring with my game than chasing swing perfection. So many times I'm faced with a situation where I really don't know the right answer. I'm glad that David posed this question, because it gives me another chance to mention Golf Sidekick. I directed him to that in the comment reply that I gave him, but Golf Sidekick deals with strategy. He deals with the mental game. He doesn't deal with trying to teach you swing changes or going with a certain methodology. His thing has always been, if you need to change your swing, or if you decide that it's not working for you, go see a professional in person. Choose somebody that can work with you. But his is all strategy and mental approach to the game of golf. And he's helped a lot of people. So he's definitely worth a look. You got to go check him out. And I was following him when he had less than 10,000 subscribers, and now he's well up over 100,000. And I've talked to him quite a few times too. Cool guy. This next one, I'm just going to read it. It's got some comments and questions, but it's from Thomas Fraser. Now, Thomas has commented on my videos a lot recently, so I wanted to make sure that he was included in this. Hi, Chad. I like task-oriented golf as well, but I think we must decide which task works best for us. Shawn Clement actually mentioned that. For example, with regards to Shawn Clement throwing his club, do you like the feeling of the weight and momentum of the golf club extending both arms outward post-impact, pulling on your right and left shoulders as you throw your club toward your intended target? I know I don't and have abandoned that idea altogether. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, but I think in general, the concept of taking something with two hands and throwing it, we've all done things like that. It's very relatable, and I think that's kind of what I'm driving at, and what Shawn's driving at with the task-oriented ways of teaching, because it's super relatable and it doesn't have to be anything that requires mechanical thought or position-based swings. Now here's one from Bob Mansfield. I've seen Bob comment. He's a very sweet guy. Now Bob says, being an oldie, I've tried over the last 6 months 3 different swings. 1 channel lock swing, 2 easiest swing in golf by Brian Sparks, 3 the JVGA swing. Love them all and interact with all 3 swings on the range and the course. It's a great way to tackle a golf course. Happy New Year to you and your family, and please keep the videos coming in 2021. Bob, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool that you can kind of go back and forth between them. And a lot of people with the JVGA swing, I've heard that it works for wedges and short irons really well, but they struggle with it in their mid irons and their long irons and their woods and all of that. So they tend to use the JVGA swing as sort of their 125, 150 yards and in sort of swing. So I've heard from people that do that more often than you would think. So I think that's pretty cool. And good on you, Bob. Okay, this next one is from Raymond Gonzalez, and this is kind of a commentary on how he and I are, kind of synced up a little bit. He said, couldn't have said it better, bro. I've tried all 5 of those swings too and ranked them exactly the same. Funny thing is, since I've tried all of them, I could say that I have some of each of them in my game. And that's something I've said before too, is that, when you interact with somebody or something, that affects who you are moving forward. So even if you're not using that particular swing anymore, pieces of things stay with you, and it has now changed your course. It has changed your direction and your velocity in life, wherever you're headed. And that could be personal relationships or swing changes, or the weather, or whatever you interact with is going to affect you. Next is Scott ST33. I hear from Scott often. Appreciate the comments and the messages, Scott. I'm with you, Chad. Leave the my way or the highway guys behind. In my reality, every golfer has a swing and tempo that suits them. How much time, effort, and money is a golfer going to put into building a repeatable swing? 95+% are not going to do that. Again, we are not going to be great PGA players, so make the game more enjoyable and work on course management. I think one of the best YouTubers is OMP, aka Old Man Pat from the Golf Mates. Everybody's seen him. He plays to his ability, has a great time playing, plays the correct tee for his tee ball distance, which is a huge thing. Golf Sidekick mentions this as well. Simple swing, make good impact, and doesn't complicate the game. Must be a senior thing. That's where I think you put in time, not full swing, but as we all know, the scoring shots 100 yards and in. Full swing with power and distance is ruining the golf game for the average player. How much is score really going to change on working on full swing if you have somewhat of a repeatable swing? Which, by the way, Chad, you do. Appreciate that. I'll have a question in the coming weeks. It looks like you have had enough for a while. It won't be swing related either, Scott. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. And I went ahead and read your stuff this time anyway, so there you go. All right, here's another one from Rick Heiderman. Have you considered trying the Juju swing? Man, I have heard so many things about the Juju swing, and I actually admit I've got a video coming out on Tuesday that actually mentions the Juju swing in it. You'll have to watch that video, so stay tuned. But I've seen the Juju swing. I've watched some videos. I think it's a really cool concept, and definitely with the rise of Matthew Wolff coming out of the George Gankus camp, that's just another thing. It blows it up. And the Juju swing, he said he was doing well before Matthew Wolff came up with it. So, you know, it's got a following for sure. And that rerouting of the club, it has some elements of Jim Furyk in it. It has definitely Matthew Wolff. You know, these types of players. Lee Trevino was a big rerouter of the club. So Gravity Golf it has some Juju look to it. You know what I mean? So I've had a lot of people talk about the Juju swing, and they want to know my thoughts on it. He says, I'm curious about it and wonder if you feel it has some potential under your criteria of something that A, has merit, and B, can essentially be learned via YouTube content. Regarding training aids, a couple of new ones I have seen that look intriguing are the down under board and ends weight. I haven't heard of the ends weight, but definitely heard of the down under board. Have they come across your radar? Thank you for doing what you do. I'm a high handicap tinkerer who would love to find something that I can stick with. Thanks, Rick. So the Juju swing, we talked about that a little bit for sure. I think that if you could get the coordination and everything down for that and you could practice and give it enough time, it may be something that suits you. I don't know that I'm going to do that in the immediate future, but I may try that down the road. In regards to the training aids, the down under board, don't get me started. Don't get me started on the down under board. I totally get the concept, and I know what you're doing. You're trying to put your pressure on the insides of your feet and keep your knees in and things like that. And Mr. Short Game, I mentioned him before, he beat me. He beat me to making the video about the down under board. I'm going to have to send him a nasty letter about that or something, because he actually did. And he did it in the way I was going to do it, where he kind of made fun of it. He poked fun at it. He uses a cutting board, and he's like, one side of the cutting board from side to side is shorter and one's longer. Bam, down under board. I looked up those down under boards because I'm like, there's no way. How did anybody get a patent on a board? And how much could this possibly cost? And I looked it up, and it's like anywhere from $75 to over $100. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I get the concept. I get it, and I think it could be beneficial. I've never used one. But why not just use a piece of wood? Why not just use a board? And I know, before you even say it, well, they're adjustable now. They're adjustable now. Are you kidding me? So you can make the board smaller or larger. Hey, get out of here. I think that is just insane. And anybody that's paying $75 to $100 for something that could easily just be a piece of wood or a cutting board, I'm like, man, send me some money. I'll give you my bank account number, and if you've got that kind of disposable income, send that money to me. I'll take it. Look, the down under board I feel like probably has some real benefits, and I might even try getting my own cutting board out and giving it a shot to see what kind of benefits I get out of it. But as far as paying that much money for such a simple, I'm not even going to call it a device. It can't be. It's not a device. It's a shape. It's a shape. It's a shape you lay on the ground that does nothing. You can't even connect your Bluetooth to it. I mean, it won't make you a sandwich or anything. Come on, $100 for that? I just can't get. I can't get behind that. Guys, that's my video for today. Man, an overwhelming number of questions and comments came in. I think I may have had something like 100 total comments at the time I'm making this video. And some of those are mine. And then you guys were actually interacting with each other. You were talking to each other in your own comments. That community, that's awesome. That's what this is supposed to be about. Everybody getting together, sharing ideas, and trying to help each other and figure out our own way. I was just overwhelmed. And I know I'm probably, at the time that I'm filming this, I'm going to be getting more questions and comments even after that going forward, but I had to come up with some kind of a cutoff for it. So be sure to get your comments in and your questions in early. I pinned a lot of these, and I don't know that I got to every single last comment and question that was on there, but I tried to do my best. I can't have this go out and be, a 3-hour show, but keep them coming. Make sure you leave some comments and questions on this video. I'll take care of those next week. I'll get to them. And let me know your thoughts on some of my responses. You can come up with completely new questions or comments, or you can continue on down and bring up the same stuff if you want to, and sort of ask a question based off of what I responded to from a previous question. It's all good. I'll try and get to everybody's as much as I can. And I appreciate all of you guys contributing and taking part in this Sundays at 3 with GTD. I really appreciate it. It's going to be kind of like, I'm hoping there'll be like half-hour episodes that will kind of be like a podcast, but with visual, and it'll just be a really cool commentary piece. So I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Click the bell off to the right so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Again, it's Tuesdays at 3 and Sundays at 3, just like this one. And maybe, who knows, in the future, if I can find the time and try and squeeze it in. It's kind of difficult making 2 videos a week now. It's a big ask, but if I could in the future add a 3rd video, that would be fantastic also. Maybe you got some questions or some ideas for what a 3rd video each week could be based on. Let me know. I'll see you in the next one.